Everyone, are you ready for a boss who's, like, so totally awesome? I'm never doing that again. Yes! Returning for an encore performance for you all, give it up for Lovrina! We haven't seen you in a very, very long time. And it turns out she figured out XD001's final adjustments. And it's now immune to purification. This is pretty much your first showing of Lovrina getting really serious. And again, I just love the subtle implications of how terrifying she is. The fact that Shadow Lugia was basically her idea really does put things in perspective. I mean, she hides things behind a cute facade, but she is, in some ways, one of the most disturbing characters in this game. So anyway, Lovrina still kind of focuses on a track. She's still kind of a mini Venus, but the main theme of her team is just Pokemon that look pretty. Also, speaking of which, that Gardevoir is actually male. So, yeah. I'm actually really surprised that Gardevoir I got in this playthrough was female, because usually whenever I use a Gardevoir, they always tend to be male. But, yeah, Gardevoir does not like physical Shadow Ball much at all, so down it goes. And she replaces it with, you've still got Roselia. Yeah, if this was a later generation, she'd definitely have Roserade, but for now, she's stuck with just Roselia. So, it's not exactly the best Pokemon in the world, and that did more than I would have expected. I guess having a variety of different genders is kind of a good thing when you've got a team focused on attract, otherwise you can easily be shut down by the opponent just using all the same gender as you. Yeah, I think I'll just go for Fire Blast. Let's not have a repeat of the Lovrina incident and have... Okay, good. No stupid sexy Gorbis. So, I'm not sure it was really Lovrina who annoyed me much with the track back in Colosseum. It was more Nazcor and that Walrein. And it was weirdly enough, it was always Kickface who fell for the weird Pokemon. It was always Kickface. Farfetch'd? Huh. You had one of the worst evolved Pokemon in existence, before as a Shadow Pokemon. Now, you have a Shadow Pokemon of one of the worst Pokemon that don't evolve in existence. Yeah, that's kind of a theme with Lovrina's Shadow Pokemon, I guess. They're all pretty awful Pokemon, except for this one. Altaria. Altaria's not actually that bad. So Altaria is Lovrina's second Shadow Pokemon. Both of these Shadow Pokemon have a new Shadow move that you will need to watch out for. Shadow Break. It's a 75 base power move that hits a single target, so Shadow Break is quite strong. And yeah, always being super effective makes it even stronger. You'll need to be very careful of Shadow Break. I just realized I didn't save before this fight, did I? Oh, I need to be very careful here. Gonna switch out to Ricky. I hope Ricky doesn't get pummeled by a double Shadow Break. Because even coming from Farfetch'd, Shadow Break does hit very hard. Also, that Farfetch'd is always holding a stick, so it is going to have a higher critical hit ratio. And a critical hit Shadow Break, even coming from Farfetch'd, is still pretty strong. So let's see. Okay, no, you're just going for Shadow Mist. Will the Farfetch'd be going for Shadow Break, I wonder? Also, Shadow Break is one of the most unsubtle Shadow Clone moves out there. It's... like, the game does not attempt to hide the fact that it's just a Shadow version of Brick Break. Even though I don't think Altaria normally learns it. Okay, Shadow Panic. Have we actually seen that used before? But that's actually annoying, confusing the entire field. It also hit both of them, which is annoying because it only has 60% accuracy. I'm going to go ahead and use your turn to use a... well, I mean, there's no wait a minute. Aha! I can use this now! Wait a minute. That sounds a lot like one of the Pokemon's cries. Like, that sounds like... is that Riolu's cry? It's definitely not Riolu's cry, but... it sounds similar to one of the cries. But anyway, I'm just gonna start stunning things now. Oh, right! That's why Shadow Panic was hitting all the time, because Shadow Mist was sharply lowering my evasion. That makes sense. Actually, that's a pretty good strategy. I forgot that Lovrina did that. Using Shadow Mist combined with Shadow Panic to kind of ensure that confusion goes off. Okay, didn't miss. That's good. And yeah, the good news about having to rematch all the Cypher admins is we get to hear this song again, and a lot of it. You cannot confuse me, for I am already confused. But yeah, as long as I have this yellow flute, it isn't gonna be that much of an issue. Confusion, I mean. Yeah, see, the yellow flute's infinite use. So, I'm all for you continuing to use Shadow Panic. Just go ahead, I don't care. I really don't. I can cure it as much as I want. It's kind of like when I discovered that the Poker Flute in the Generation 1 games can cure sleep if you use it from the menu. I love that detail. It's actually a pretty nice one that's, I wouldn't say not a lot of people know, but you kind of gotta experiment in order to really figure out that it does that. Like, logically it makes sense, but it's kind of cool figuring it out for the first time. I'm just, like, to be boring here, I'm gonna do the exact same thing. Yeah, keep confusing me all you want, Lovrina. I have my secret weapon, the yellow flute. Lovrina's one weakness, I guess. I think I'll start trying to catch the Farfetch'd now. Like, I really want to, like, okay, I know that sounds bad, but I kind of want to see them use Shadow Break, because Shadow Break is a pretty cool move. And it's actually surprisingly not that common. There aren't many Shadow Pokemon that have it, it's mostly just boss ones. I know of one non-boss Shadow Pokemon that has it. You're just content to spam the same thing, aren't you? Maybe you're programmed to always do it if there's a non-confused Pokemon on the field, so maybe I've got Lovrina totally locked down, and that would be interesting if I did. I think, yeah, I'm gonna go for... I guess I could try and test that theory by not using the yellow flute this turn and seeing what Lovrina does, seeing if she actually starts attacking me. Because that would be interesting if I found a flaw in her AI that got her locked into an AI pattern. 1, 2, 3. Farfetch'd get... Well... Lovrina just loves horrible normal types, doesn't she? I'm so sorry, Farfetch'd, but there's just not much good that I can say about you. The best that I can say, I did say in the fight itself. Shadow Break is a very powerful move, and with Stick for a high critical hit ratio, it can do decent damage sometimes. Also, this Farfetch'd learns Baton Pass as its XD exclusive move, which gives it at least some use in Baton Passing Swords Dance, but there are much better Pokemon for the job there. I really don't feel I need to go on here. Farfetch'd is just, well, Farfetch'd. It's bad. Really, this is one of those Pokemon that could only be saved by an evolution or a Mega, and Farfetch'd every generation is desperately praying to Arceus for either one of those. At least it's kinda decent in the early game of X and Y thanks to that trade, but past the early game it's still pretty pointless. I just realized this is one of the few games where you can actually outright catch Farfetch'd. I mean, usually Farfetch'd is just a gift Pokemon or a trade. Although I'm sure in some later generations you can find it in the wild, but, I mean, that just raises the question of why would you want to find Farfetch'd in the wild? Yeah, I'm sorry, Farfetch'd, but, yeah, I mean, there's a reason that Farfetch'd is bad. It's based on a Japanese proverb that essentially means a sucker who is easily duped. I did explain this before, but... Okay, there's Shadow Break, we've finally seen it. So just watch this. It does look very cool, I'll give it that, but it's a kind of dangerous move. And yeah, maybe now, although now that Farfetch'd is gone, I can't really lock her into a Shadow Panic pattern, can I? I think I'll just go in for a Moo Milk here, and then I will... I don't need to worry about Shadow Panic anymore, so I can just safely use the yellow flute on Ricky now. I still think that sounds like one of the Pokemon cries. Yeah, you're just spamming that, aren't you? Shadow Mist doesn't really affect it because it has 100 accuracy anyway. I need to get you out of here. I mean, you're confused, you're weakened, I should probably switch you out. And let's go for my tank now, who's finally on the same level as the rest of my Pokemon, so I can actually start using him seriously. Her? What am I doing here? Okay, nice crit there. False Swipe is one of the few moves you actually want to get crits with when it comes to Shadow Pokemon. Because, yeah, I still have Helping Hand, that's good. Because you know, even if you get a critical, it's not going to actually knock anything out. Also, I haven't done this before, Helping Hand boosted False Swipe. That's probably going to help later on when it comes to catching things. Because False Swipe is still very, very weak. I think I can probably start trying to catch you now. Please don't go through. I thought you would. That's actually kind of annoying, but I'll go for an Ultra Ball anyway. I'm actually running through these very quickly, thanks to the sheer number of Shadow Pokemon here. But let's see if we can take down our first boss. Of this area, I mean. 1, 2, 3. Altaria gets. Altaria! Third time's the charm. Finally, Lovrina has a good Pokemon I can talk about. Firstly, I'll say that Altaria's XD exclusive move is another one of those that is highly sought after in competitive play. We haven't seen Heal Bell as an exclusive move for a while, but Altaria is one of the best users of it due to how bulky it is. It also starts with Shadow Break, which like I said with Farfetch'd is a pretty good move. Other than that though, I already covered Altaria in its bio for Colosseum, so there's not really much I can say here that's different. It has a good move pool on both the physical and special sides of the spectrum. It can Dragon Dance, but definitely not as well as a lot of other Dragon types. But it is one of the only Dragon types available in XD if you aren't willing to go through the long slog of training up a Flygon. Which, if you're following the game's level curve, should have only just become a Vibrava by this point. Yeah, remember how I said back in its bio that I don't find Flygon to be that good in this game? That's why. But enough of that tangent. When using Altaria, you want to play to its strengths over other Dragon types, and Heal Bell plus Bulk is one of Altaria's strengths in that regard. Altaria is a great Heal Bell user, both in-game and in the lower tiers of competitive. So I have to give Lovrina some credit. After 2 massive disappointments, she finally had a good Shadow Pokemon. And with that, for the final time, well actually not the final time, but that's post-game. For the final time in the main story, we have defeated Lovrina. Yes, now what we've done, we've given those 2 Pokemon hope of a better future. Take that, Lovrina! That won't be for a while, though. We've still got a lot of Citadark Isle to go for. Okay, Parrot, Growlithe. Kind of fitting that those 2 would be ready to be purified immediately, because they were caught in the same fight. So speaking of which, I will have to be making trips back to... Oh, you're still on level 36, so I guess I have to use these 2 as my leads still. I'll have to be making trips back to the HQ lab to purify more Pokemon. I should probably give the Relic Stone some screen time eventually, because yeah, it's really neglected in this game. But yes, welcome to Area 2, the one that I call the Turbine Room, because there's this giant turbine churning up the water there. We've got some more trainers to fight here, including you. They just love calling you sweetie, don't they? Scipion Bastille. Are you going to be an impregnable fortress for me to get through, or are you going to use all poison types and beg me to use Lyra to destroy you? The latter option, I guess, although I still want to use these 2 in this fight because they're lagging behind a little bit in levels. You're especially, like, you're not quite lagging behind, but Levantine especially is. So, who will I use? I'll just go for the Fire Blast on you, and then I'll go for, yeah, Return on you. I could go for a Fake Tears Fire Blast combo, but no, not. Also, that's not Crobat's Bat Wheel animation. That's just its stand there and pose with its wings out animation. Well, at least I one-shotted that. So, what are you using next? Will it be another poison type? We'll see. No thanks, Return is better, sorry. I mean, the critical hit ratio of Slash is kind of nice if you have no better options, and, like, if you've only just oh, it's actually not a poison type, it's a psychic type. If you've only just recently caught an Ursaring and it's not that, like, its happiness isn't that high, then maybe Slash is a good move, but here when I have a full power return already, that's the Bat Wheel animation that I wanted to show earlier, and you'll probably flinch from that given my luck. But yeah, Slash can be nice sometimes, but if you've got a full power return, then that's usually better. I was about to say, except in Generation 1, where Slash has a ridiculous critical hit ratio, but Return didn't even exist in Gen 1. So, yeah, Slash was... No, Double Edge existed in Gen 1, so Slash obviously wasn't the best normal move, but Slash was a pretty good normal move. And in fact, for some Pokemon like Persian, it was definitely the best normal move because, you know, the Gen 1 critical formula. Which, in some ways, the Gen 1 critical formula was one of the few things that I actually liked about Gen 1's mechanics. The fact that it's, that, like, critical hits were based on your Pokemon's stats, kind of almost like Fire Emblem, rather than just being pure luck. Although now with the new way that critical hit stages work, and, like, the fact that Sniper combined with Focus Energy can potentially give you 100% critical hit ratio, that does make criticals a little bit more strategic, but in Gen 1 they could be as well. Of course, criticals in Gen 1 were annoying. Wow, what a polite Cypher peon. But, yeah, criticals could still be annoying in the fact that they ignored any stat boosts, both positive and negative. So, if you use Sword Dance 3 times and then got a critical hit with Slash on, say, Persian, you'd actually be doing less damage than you would if you had not got a critical hit, because it ignores your Sword Dance boosts. And I knew I kept those kept those potions for a reason. Hello there, random reclining scientist, how you doing? So, it's implied that the waves protecting Citadark Isle are all man-made, which makes perfect sense. Hello there, non-reclining scientist, how are you doing? That's pretty funny, actually. Are you seeing? So yeah, it's complete confirmation that the storms around Citadark Isle are all man-made, which I guess makes sense. It'd be too much of a coincidence for just an island to just happen to have raging storms around it that prevents it from ever being investigated. But yes, educational info from random villainous teen people. That's pretty silly. Yes, it's Bring Your Child to Work Day. Thank you for explaining your methodology. I'm sure that will really help us at your eventual trial. Oh, nice. 5 Ultra Balls. Actually, wait a minute. I've caught 6 Shadow Pokemon, all with Ultra Balls, so that's replenished all but one of them. That's actually pretty nice.
Derpy.
Hi there, other scientist. You're oddly childish, but you are getting paid by your evil boss. It's kind of interesting how they talk about, like, the motivations of these people. Now, you're going in that elevator, but let's check out these other areas first. Hi there! Well, that's some pretty big talk. Let's see if you can back it up. Grasson. It's not quite the same as a certain Disney character who's become a meme for some reason, but anyway. I think I've got the right Pokemon for the job here. That Ninjask will hopefully only get 1 turn off before it is obliterated by... Well, might even get... Well, yeah, we'll definitely get 1 attack off, but it might not even get any speed boosts off, but I shouldn't speak too soon. Let's just Helping Hand, even though this Helping Hand is completely unnecessary, because I'm going to one-shot the Ninjask anyway. And if I miss, then I will have wasted my entire turn. Oh, you're going for Swords Dance, huh? That'd normally be impressive, but Ninjask is one of the few things in Gen 3 that learns that via level up. Well, it's back to my regular Fire Blast. Like, actually, no, you are a Swords Dance specialized trainer. I should have given you more credit. Well, Skahar doesn't need to worry too much, though, because it's not like that Absolute Night Slash. Swords Dance is not going to be buffing its dark moves in any way, shape, or form, which is nice. I'll just do Icy Wind, even though it's going to be pretty useless. Though it is going to be buffing a stab move. But yeah, nice one, Skahar, tanking a +2 attack from a Ninjask, who actually has alright attack. I think it's like base 90 or something. With Swords Dance, it's fairly impressive, especially with Ninjask's great speed, but Ninjask is mainly notable as a Baton Passer. Probably one of the few Pokemon that was intentionally designed with Baton Pass in mind. I mean, you can tell, you can really tell. It learns Swords Dance by level up, Well, that's certainly going to be buffed by Swords Dance. So something Skahar is weak to is buffed by it, and I need to switch Skahar out now because that is not good at all. So we have that on the field. I'm going to go for you, and I'm going to need to switch out because I have learned my lesson. You have Shadow Ball, that's really bad. I'm going to not risk getting hit by that. Also, it's kind of funny how the Icy Wind comes out of Dusclops's eye. Yeah. Don't question that. Like, eye wind or something. That's actually kind of creepy. Still like having the leftovers on you, though. Let's... I think we established earlier that Ice Beam does more. But I still like to... Actually, I don't want you because you're weak to Shadow Ball. Let's go for Orson, because Orson's immune to it. Let's see if I can predict something here. I mean, I probably won't, because all of the AI opponents are generally stupid in this game, and usually don't aim for who you think they're going to aim for. Yeah, I like to keep Water Pulse because of things like Rock Rounds that I want to get rid of, and Fire types. So, there is a reason why I still have that, even though it's still not the greatest move. Once again, Orson gets intimidated. No, actually, you have Hyper Cutter. And you... I was just going on about the critical formula, and now this Absol is criticaling all the time, even though Super Luck doesn't exist in this generation, so I'm really confused. Like, this Absol must be just getting insanely lucky, because, I mean, that's a high critical hit ratio move, but Shadow Ball isn't, so... yeah, I really don't know. And here's one of those times where Brick Break is actually useful, because you're resistant to return, but Brick Break is super effective. And nice KO there. Let's get rid of that Swords Dance user. I may need to go back to the healing machine now. Because that fight was more annoying than I thought. That Absol just thought that it was a Gen 4 Absol and had Super Luck for some reason. Absol makes a pretty decent Super Luck user, especially with Scope Lens, because it learns a lot of high critical hit ratio moves. In Gen 3 it didn't learn that many, but in Gen 4 it got Night Slash and Psycho Cut. Don't think it got Leaf Blade, though. In fact, I'm pretty sure it didn't get Leaf Blade. Anyway, all you were guarding was one item. 2 full restores, though. That's not bad. Well, yeah, I've got 2 fainted team members. Yeah, I'm gonna go back and heal. Okay, I'm back after having healed. Let's check out this room and its item. You're just gonna let me take it. 3 Hyper Potions. That's definitely nice. Haven't even used any of my stock of Hyper Potions yet. Oh, okay. Yeah, I could say things about that, but I won't. Let's just leave. And hi there. On the contrary, I think you do need my meddling. Let's take down Cyberpeon Litnar. This is just kind of a weird thing, but I don't know where the name, like, it's lit, or like, we lit now came from. I'm probably doing it totally wrong, but... something telling me that it might be Dark Souls, but I'm not sure. Anyway, Electrodemis... Oh. Now, I was going to say that I've got a good idea of what you're going to do, but then I just thought that back in Colosseum, I saw a trainer who had this exact combination of Pokemon in Mount Battle, and they didn't do what I thought they were going to do. So I guess we'll see what happens. I'm gonna try and Shadow Ball the Mischievous, I guess. No, you're not gonna explode. Okay, I thought you were going to. That's kind of weird. But in case you do explode, I have Reflect up now, so it's not going to be doing as much damage. Actually, wait, no, it's not going to reduce it to the damage that it would be doing in Gen 5 and on. Because... yeah, here it halves your defense, so it I knew that would confuse. So it effectively has double the power that it does in later generations, but Reflect is only buffing your own defense by 1.5 times, and I did not expect that to one-shot, wow. Maybe I don't give Skahar enough credit offensively. In fact, I think that's the first time I've really used Skahar's Shadow Ball after she evolved, so... then yes, I called her a she this time. Anyway, let's... yeah, see, I was kind of worried that I'm... Facade, that's a weird move for you to be using. That I'm getting a little bit over-leveled here, but as you can see, the trainers still have level 36-ish Pokemon sometimes. I probably should have used the Yellow Flute, but oh well. And the bosses will be spiking up in level a bit. Something that I should mention, though, Something that I find is a little bit of a flaw of this place now I think about it. We fought Lovrina at the end of the first area, and I kind of wish that that's how they did things, that you'd fight a boss at the end of each area. But no. After Lovrina, there aren't any more boss fights for a while. Like, I do mean quite a while, like most of Citadark Isle. And by the time there are more bosses, they pretty much come all at once. So, I feel like that's an issue. They probably should have spaced out the bosses a little bit better, I'll say. Oh, and yeah, that Kangaskhan's a Shadow Pokemon, so completely talked over it, but also, Kangaskhan's animations are incredibly stupid in this generation, I'll just say, and probably back in Generation 1 and 2 as well, thanks to reusing the stadium models. Now might be a good time for a full restore, I just thought. Okay, who's the dig hitting? You, and barely did anything because Playdoll's offense is not that good. I'd expect more even with Stab and against something with bad defense, but anyway, let's see how much this does. Well, that was a critical, so I guess that's not an accurate indication of how much it's doing. But let's see, there was a Kangaskhan there, and Skahala was up, which is nice. 67 attack is not awful. And Banette! Speaking of ghost types and attack stats, this is the one ghost type that actually likes ghosts being physical, and it's a Shadow Pokemon. So, they're level 37 too, so yeah, I'm actually not that under-leveled. And funny thing about me using Sing on this Kangaskhan is that itself will have Sing as its exclusive move once it's purified, so a little bit of a sneak preview there. I should have full restored. I said that I was going to full restore, and I didn't, and now I feel stupid. Because I'm probably going to hurt my... No? Okay, good. And Sing actually hit, which is surprising. I'm actually getting a lot more mileage out of Sing than I thought I'd be getting. Though it helps that Gardevoir won't be learning Hypnosis until probably after the main story is over, or I thought you'd be fainting there. So, it's time to send out Ricky and go more for Paralysis than for Sleep. Let's do this. So yeah, going an entire area without any Shadow Pokemon, and then a double Shadow Pokemon trainer hits. If I'm remembering right, the next Shadow Pokemon trainer isn't for a little while. So that wasn't even not very effective. But dropping the speed here should be kind of nice. Kangaskhan, although it doesn't have as much speed as its Mega Form, it's still not terribly slow. You know what? While you're still asleep, I'm going to go for an Ultra Ball. This probably won't work, but I can try. Also, I have to make sure I don't accidentally use my Master Ball. That'd be bad. One, two, three. Kangaskhan get! Wow, I wish I had that kind of luck in the Safari Zone. Kangaskhan may be known these days for its game-breaking Mega Evolution, but how good is it here? Actually, not that bad, and in hindsight it makes the Raticate that we got earlier a lot sadder. Kangaskhan has some pretty solid stats overall, with its attack and speed being not the greatest in the world, but not terrible, but it's made up for by it having decent defenses and great HP. Its special attack is its only bad stat, and since you're not going to be using that most of the time, that doesn't really matter much. Kangaskhan also has Earthquake immediately on Purification, which saves you from having to use the TM for it. Sing as an XD exclusive move is... I guess if you want to transfer it further forward and use it on Mega Kangaskhan, you can, but it's still not the best move in the world. Tail Whip you want to replace as soon as possible, and Dizzy Punch you probably want to get rid of for Double Edge or Return, or even Body Slam via the Move Tutor. There's not that much left in Kangaskhan's level up move pool. It will eventually learn both Endure and Reversal, but I'd personally rather just use Brick Break. Speaking of which, from TMs, apart from Brick Break, you've got Focus Punch as well, Shadow Ball, which is very nice coverage, I'd highly recommend that, Rock Tomb, Aerial Ace, and Iron Tail, but really you don't need any of these when you've got Earthquake. Earthquake is just that good. You also have access to Seismic Toss via the Move Tutor. I want to draw special attention to Seismic Toss, because some Mega Kangaskhan sets in Gen 6 do use that. Hitting twice with it through Parental Bond is pretty devastating. But the only way Kangaskhan can learn that is via move tutors in Gen 3, the XD Seismic Toss tutor being one of those. But for in-game purposes, you also have access to Icy Wind for a bit of debilitation, and Body Slam or Double Edge are two great normal stab options. I'd personally recommend Body Slam over Dizzy Punch. Overall, despite coming late in the game, Kangaskhan is a pretty decent normal type. And catching one here is definitely a better alternative than searching for one in the Safari Zone. And then there was one, just this Banette, and, well, at least you've upgraded to Shadow Rush rather than Shadow Blitz. I mean, I can understand why they don't use the stronger Shadow moves as often, because being super effective against everything, they are quite overpowered, but I feel like more things should be using Shadow Break at this point. Or at the very least, nothing should have Shadow Blitz anymore. It should be entirely, Shadow Rush or better. Kind of wish Helping Hand would increase the accuracy, but it doesn't. And there's no going for the Helping Hand False Swipe combo here, because Banette is immune to False Swipe. It's always the annoying thing about trying to catch Ghost types. They're also immune to Endeavor, another way of easily lowering Pokemon down to 1 HP. And this is going to do barely anything, but at least it's extra damage. Also, yeah, Ricky can't even touch Ghost types at all, so I should probably switch Ricky out now. Because I don't need to worry about that paralysis wearing off. That is one cool thing about using paralysis to catch Pokemon rather than sleep. I mean, I've probably said this a lot, but also you can't hurt Ghost types. But I do have several Pokemon who are outright super effective against Ghosts, so I'm not really too concerned about struggling against them. But yeah, paralysis never wears off as opposed to sleep. 1, 2, 3. Banette gets, which almost rhymes. To risk sounding like a broken record, Banette can be summed up as the one Ghost type that actually liked Ghosts being physical. Its stats are very lopsided. It has great attack, average special attack, and bad everything else. That's not a good sign. Insomnia is at least an alright ability. As far as moves go, it still has the terrible Shadow Blitz, so Purified ASAP, but on Purification it gains Helping Hand as an XC exclusive move. What is their fascination with giving Ghost types Helping Hand? The annoying part about that being that Dusclops outclasses everyone else as a Helping Hand Ghost, so Banette joins the ranks of Sableye in the not as good as Dusclops club. Other than that, it regains Feint Attack as well, and that's not that good because it's still special in this gen. And here's where Banette starts to really suffer. It has great physical attack, but besides Shadow Ball, there's really not much that it can do with that. Look at its notable TM moves. The only physical one is Return. For tutor moves, the only physical ones are Body Slam and Double Edge. Yeah, you're stuck with Ghost and Normal as your only physical options, despite having a somewhat decent special move pool. Well, I guess that means you have no shortage of move slots to fill with support options, and Banette's got a few of those. I'd highly recommend paying the move reloaded from Will-O-Wisp, that's a great status move, or you go with Thunder Wave. You could also go for Icy Wind to debilitate the opponent's speed, or Swagger to confuse them. Overall though, if you want a Helping Hand Ghost type, I definitely say use Dusclops, not Banette. Banette is a Pokemon that really suffers from its terrible physical move pool and lopsided stat distribution. And with that, the elevator is free. Now we have 2 more Shadow Pokemon. So, our way to the next area is set. Before we go, I'm going to go back and heal, but then I'll see you next time when we continue our trek through Citadark Isle with another area. We're still only in the very early days of this place.